On behalf of anyone who lives in, has been to, or even cares about Canada, I deeply apologize for this episode's existence. When I have a choice between two episodes for an animated Atrocities, I'll inevitably go with the worst one, because, oh boy, we've got a bad one tonight. Look, I'm just gonna come right out and say it, but this episode is quite frankly disgusting. Personally, I'm not really into the I'm offended for you mindset, because that's pretty much a contradiction in and of itself. But this is one of those kinds of things that just makes you feel dirty watching it. And yes, I was saying I was apologizing to Canadian people. Honestly, if any other nationality, hell, any other group, got the treatment that this episode is giving, the episode would have been banned outright. What are we waiting for? Let's begin.
Summer. It's what America does best. Heck, we were born in the summer.
Get used to that. America can't really be so great if it keeps coming up with atrocities like these. Anyway, Hank and Peggy come across some patio furniture, and they want to buy it. Meanwhile, Bill and Dale come across some kind of beer dispenser, which they buy as well. Unfortunately, Boomhauer has to go to Canada for some kind of house exchange program. That seems like a service that wouldn't be of use for theft at all.
Canada? A man only has so many summers, Boomhauer. Why would you waste yours in a country that's dismantling its navy?
No, wait, it gets better.
Have fun. Hope you got your shots.
Boomhauer, don't you dare come back a hockey fan.
And so Boomhauer leaves.
Hey, looks like the Canadians are here.
Boo!
I'm not really against someone referring to people by their nationality, especially if that's the only thing you know about them. But these guys are repeatedly referred to as the Canadians.
Canadians are here.
Telling you, Hank, those Canadians...
I'll invite the Canadians. The Canadians. You talking about my grass blades, Canada? Those Canadians.
You win, Canada.
You know, Canadians...
For your Canadian friend.
And it gets extremely uncomfortable.
We're Americans. We're the world's welcome mat. It doesn't matter if they're from Canada, Laos, or God forbid, California. Right now, they're from Rainy Street. And it's our patriotic duty to show them what good neighbors are all about.
You can probably already see where this is going. And yeah, the Hills aren't optimistic about having Canadians be their new neighbors.
Holy jeez, this looks like one of those spicy motels. Well, we wanted something different than the lake this year.
Why yes, they do have thick Canadian accents. Thank you for noticing.
Hello and welcome to the United States. Peggy Hill, at your service.
Even though this is like season 13 or something, Peggy is really subdued in this episode. Although, I would prefer them taking a focus on her or Luann's increased brain damage, because this episode gives me a different kind of cringe. Not exactly a Splinter kind of cringe, but, well, we'll keep watching. They kinda seem to hit it off. Well, everyone except Peggy.
Oh, that's so nice. But we always travel with our own pure maple syrup. It's like they say, you don't want to drink the water in every country, eh?
Okay, I'm just gonna put it out there. These new neighbors are incredibly jingoistic. Almost as jingoistic as Hank! Which begs the question, if they love Canada so much, why the fuck did they leave it?
I am telling you, Hank, those Canadians are not who they pretend to be.
You know their name by now. Can you please refer to them by name? It's like you're saying that being Canadian is their primary character trait.
Canada is vast. They might go months without seeing another person.
You're an idiot. The next day...
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Maureen made a nice tray of her brownies, eh? So what do you say? Let's get at it.
Wow. Having them say A at the end of every single fucking sentence. Canadian people don't really do that. Even people with Tourette's don't say a verbal tick at the end of every single fucking sentence. Yes, I get the point. They really want to hammer the point that this guy's a Canadian. Gordon, the Canadian, doesn't want to watch American football because he finds it boring. Fair enough, I do too.
Tell you what, Peggy's dying to throw a party to break in our new patio furniture. I'll invite the Canadians.
Stop referring to them as the Canadians. They have names!
But enough of that. We need to build a bar worthy of housing our kegerator.
Building montage! Worst montage ever. So they have a party.
I'm confused, Aunt Peggy. I feel like we're inside, but I'm pretty sure we're outside.
Remember when Luann was a compelling character trying to get her life back on track after being dealt a shitty hand with shitty parents? Anyway, the new neighbors are kinda assholes. And of course Gordon doesn't like the beer because it's not Canadian.
This can't be right. Nobody's that rude. There has to be some kind of cultural misunderstanding.
Was this episode originally written with another nationality in mind? Cultural differences. Really. The Hills get a noise complaint.
Wait, which neighbors would call the cops? Everybody's here. except the Canadians.
Stop referring to them as Canadians! When you do that, it makes it seem like them being Canadian is the problem! Imagine if these new neighbors were Mexicans, kept constantly being referred to as Mexicans, and kept doing asshole behavior, while pretty much shouting, "Long live Mexico!"
It's about time you woke up, Hank. Anger is more fun when shared.
Oh, don't worry, sweetie. I'll get to you again when I review Goodbye Normal Jeans, you pathetic wreck of a character. Hank is angry at Bobby because he's using the metric system, despite, that the United States is one of only 3 countries that still uses the English system. And one of those countries ain't England.
But Dad, Canada's metric system makes so much more sense. A yard, a foot, an ounce. That's so random. Why not measure things in squirts and dogs' tails?
Why not bring up the actual benefit of the metric system? That it measures things in systems of 10, making mathematics quicker and easier.
This is America, dang it. We know what we're doing.
Like giving bailouts to the people who wrecked our economy, allowing them to shirk responsibility.
Hey there, Hank. Can I make you up a rye and ginger?
Nothing says summer like an R&G.
Oh, for the love of... Why don't you have them... Actually, I can't come up with an example of how you can make them more stereotypical. What the actual fuck? Canadian people must be the most tolerant people in the world if they'd let this kind of horrible display pass.
Oh, sorry about that. We're not familiar with your local customs.
Why does this episode treat Canada like it's Mongolia or China or something?
You talking about my grass blades, Canada?
He has a fucking name! Yes, Gordon is a jingoist, which once again calls into the question of why he ever left his country of his own free will. But this episode never treats that as the problem. It treats them as being Canadian as the problem. Even if they went the jingoistic route, this kind of moral wouldn't work unless both people were jingoistic of the same country. They have a standoff after Gordon threatens to mow Boomhauer's lawn.
That Gordon Huskins, all he talks about is how great Canada is and what's wrong with America.
And you doing the inverse earlier is really better?
Summer. It's what America does best. Heck, we were born in the summer. In Canada, a man only has so many summers, Boomhauer. Why would you waste yours in a country that's dismantling its navy?
Fucking hypocrite! They want the Hills to turn down the music because they're reading. And as we all know, Canadians are the most boring people in the world.
If I want to get rid of those Canadians, I'm going to have to do something I've never done before.
He's talking about them like they're moles, vermin infesting his lawn! The Hills decide to be assholes in return in order to get rid of the Canadians. Eventually Gordon comes over, and they get into a beer drinking competition.
Why can't America make a decent ale?
Probably because we're too busy making medical breakthroughs.
Like blowing swine flu out of proportion.
Medical breakthroughs and blockbuster movies and...
Because Battleship made me go back to the theaters 3 times.
Blockbuster movies and going to the moon.
Yeah, with that space program that we're not really funding anymore.
Yeah? Well, we invented zippers, penicillin, and the Zamboni.
What's the matter, Gordon? Universal healthcare slip your tongue? Or did the writers have to make your comeback so pathetic to make Canada look bad? So Gordon, in an outrage, goes to mow Boomhauer's lawn with a Canadian mower. Hank gets into his mower, and then Gordon goes to mow Hank's lawn. They eventually get pulled over by the cops.
Oh, God.
.085.
He's been drinking all day. How is he just over the legal limit?
.09. Huh. You win, Canada.
And he's barely been drinking. How the hell does he have a higher BAC? Buck Strickland, Hank's boss, gets him out of jail. I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to talk about him in the future, too.
What about me?
You're a foreign national who committed a criminal offense. May God have mercy on your soul.
Wouldn't the house swap program cover instances like this? It's not like he's an illegal immigrant or something. We do have protocols for stuff like this, right?
Hank, you gotta help me.
Oh, you mean bail you out of trouble? How terribly American that would be of me.
Yeah, like keeping drunk vacationers trapped in prison indefinitely. Also, Hank is just as, if not more jingoistic than the Canadians he keeps complaining about.
Hey, good news, everyone. Gordon got another death threat, but it's okay. They moved him to a single cell with a roommate who they tell me has his back.
Fun fact about America, we have the highest prisoner per capita population in the world. Mostly for drug offenses and bullshit like this. Anyway, Boomhauer comes back home with a girl who is never going to be seen again in any other episode. I would say that Hank does the right thing and lets Gordon out of prison, but it's just another bullshit excuse to say how great America is and how terrible Canada is. Oh, I'm sorry, the Canadian people.
What about the chemicals?
I may have imagined those chemicals.
I imagine you're right.
Well, it looks like someone's learned something. Too bad it's the wrong fucking people learning the wrong fucking lesson. The only lesson that they needed to learn is that if Canada is so fucking great, then don't fucking leave it! And honestly, if Hank ever went to Canada for the same contrived reason, he'd probably be doing the same bullshit. Also, did I mention that these Canadian people went to Texas for the entirety of summer?
You know, Canadians might be sanctimonious and bland, but...
Wow. Just wow. That right there just painted all Canadians in the brush that this episode was doing. I have to wonder what the intention was here. And like I said, any other nationality, and this episode would have been banned. I am entirely sure of that.
America has been protecting Canada ever since England stopped.
Because they managed to get their independence without a war.
Who's there when tyranny strikes, or when earthquakes hit, or tsunamis roll? We are.
Anyway, they get rid of their keg in order to get Gordon out of prison.
See you guys. If you're ever up in Canada to get reasonably priced pharmaceuticals or, you know, a breath of fresh air, look us up.
According to this episode, Canadians are still assholes even after they've been humbled. Which isn't a surprise because this episode sucks. If you want to do an episode about patriotism going too far, fine. But have both characters be from the same country. Or else you make it seem like one country is better than the other. Oh wait, you can't do that because Hank is more jingoistic than Peter Griffin was in that episode he found out he was an illegal immigrant. And Hank can't ever be wrong. I say that that's what I think they were going for because any other intention makes me feel very uncomfortable. Yes, I understand that Canada seems to be the butt of many jokes. And now you know one of the reasons that I don't make them. But for the love of God, there is taking a joke too far. Stereotypes are never funny, and they can never be used to teach a lesson either. The only thing I'm getting from this episode is Canada sucks. Well, give them credit. They didn't make this piece of shit.
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet has an original point of view. And I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. If you could learn to work and play and get along with each other. You got to listen to your heart, listen to the beat, listen to the rhythm of the street. Open up your eyes, open up your ears, get together and make things better by working together. It's a simple message.